would like to preface with, we are all smiling under our masks right now. So I just want to let you know that. I'm Barb Getzer, and I am so proud to serve as principal of Untitled Elementary School. And we want to welcome all of you who will soon be sending your children to kindergarten. And we want to welcome anyone who's listening from home, any soon-to-be students that are here, or from home as well. Right now, we want to let you know that we're grateful that you are here to listen to our kindergarten program and how we provide a wonderful learning experience, because we have dedicated people in every corner of the district. And tonight, I'm also here with the other principals of the other elementary schools, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves right now.
Good evening, I'm Caroline Morgan, principal at Westwood and Safety County. Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Molitor and I'm principal at Glendale Elementary.
I'm Karen Smolinski, principal at Hamilton Ridge.
Hello, I'm Katie Sherman and I am proud to serve as the principal at Five Fox Elementary.
Good evening, I am Richie Kuczynski. I am the principal of our Spanish First School, Loda del Lago.
And my name is Patrick Gunn, and I'm the principal at Jefferson Pond Elementary. Everything that we do to service your child who comes into our district flows through this document. This is our strategic framework. It's put together with input from the public, and it has your kindergartner in mind. Our mission is to educate all learners to reach their full potential as contributing and productive members of our ever-changing local community. We are committed to your child and so is our school district, and this is how we make that magic happen. I'm going to move on and do my position here. If you have questions, we are going to try to answer them tonight. If you're at home, moms and dads, we have a way for you to submit your questions by using the QR code that's on your screen. At any point, we'll do the question and answer session here with the rest of you live. We have this presentation, and it's being taped, and it's going to be shared with the community after we're all finished later.
Well, we know that every child learns differently. Therefore, we believe all kindergartners need a variety of developmentally appropriate activities throughout their day to grow their gross and fine motor skills, cognitive development, and social-emotional development. We provide this education through highly trained licensed teachers who have the passion and the joy for education. They are ready to deliver high-quality instruction and a very successful experience for your future child. So right now, we would like to share a short video with you about a day in the life of a kindergartner. And please know that this video was before COVID.
When kindergartners at Prior Lake Sabbatarian schools step off the bus, they step into a world of learning and exploration.
They come skipping, ready to be here, share stories about themselves.
Prior Lake Sabbatarian schools offers traditional full-day kindergarten as well as a full-day Spanish immersion kindergarten program at Loda del Lago.
Our kindergarten program provides a well-rounded curriculum in which our students have the ability to discover, explore, learn, investigate.
These kindergarten programs promote social, emotional, physical, and intellectual growth. Each child is introduced to a wide range of academic curriculum that helps develop the whole child.
A typical day in kindergarten would start with a settle-in in the classroom and a breakfast, followed by reading, writing, a specialist, which would include gym, art, music, library. After that, we would head to lunch and recess, math, and round out the day with an ESTEM activity. We try and incorporate an ESTEM activity with all curriculum as much as possible.
Volunteering in the school has allowed me to meet other parents and get to know the teachers better, and also just helps build community.
The classrooms are so student-centered. They're flexible, inviting, colorful. The growth that we see in kindergarten is exceptional and amazing. independence that they gain is immeasurable.
It's a great feeling to know that my kids are at a school where they are loved and nurtured, from the principal and teachers to the custodians and those who work in the lunch service and all the specialists.
I always love that video, and at the end where it says AKA first graders, they were all on kindergarten, so good. So our full-day kindergarten program is located in each one of our elementary schools here in Prior Lake Savage schools. If you're unsure what your attendance boundary is located, we have a school finder on our website that you can access. Wherever you live in this district, there is busing for La Ola de Lago. With a full-day kindergarten experience comes two options for our families. The traditional full-day kindergarten and then the full-day Spanish immersion program, the Ola de Lago Bachelor in English. Minnesota provides a tuition-free full-day kindergarten to all public school families. Prior Lake Savage area schools have been providing a full-day kindergarten program for several years and has experience providing a high-level service to our families. So I'm going to start out by telling you how our days start in kindergarten, and then we'll move into the main components of kindergarten Spanish immersion program. Both programs are very similar, have a very similar curriculum. And this graphic that we have up here highlights the curriculum for a full-day kindergarten. So as you can see, we start off with social readiness and work habits. We call it responsive classroom. In our buildings, we are responsive classroom buildings, and we are PBIS, which is positive behaviors, interventions, and supports. And I cut out every once in a while. I apologize for that. Responsive classroom is an opportunity for us every morning to start our day with a morning meeting. And we, in our morning meeting, that helps us build community. So we start off with a reading, and then we have some sharing, we've got a morning message, and then we play a little game to get to know each other's names and to get to learn a little bit more about each other. Then we've got reading, and here at Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, we use the reading units of study. Then writing, which is the writing units of study. Math, our curriculum is math expressions. And then science, we are all East End buildings, so we love to get our kids outside and into nature. And social studies, and then they all have specialists. So they have a 50-minute time frame during the day, where every day they'll get a different specialist, which is music, art, media, and then bio. I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Richardson.
Hello, welcome. Our main school for our elementary is our Lola de Lago, which means the way of the lake, Spanish immersion school. Previously, we were housed in Edgewood and the Early Childhood Center, and then we grew and grew. And Stolinski and I shared a school for many years, and with the building of Hamilton Ridge Elementary, Lola de Lago did move over to Greenwood. So we do have our own K-5 elementary school right now, and I'll be sharing all that in a minute after we watch this video.
It's called La Ola de Lago, the Wave of the Lake, the Spanish immersion school at Prior Lake Savage Area Schools.
Immersion education is kind of a gateway to understanding our global world.
From the moment they walk into school, these students are surrounded by the Spanish language.
It allows students the ability to connect with other people that speak in their language. It increases cognitive flexibility thinking. It allows students to see things from a different perspective.
Curriculum parallels traditional English-speaking elementary classes where all students achieve at high levels, but it's taught with Spanish words, phrases, and images.
One of the things that we always do is singing. Kids love to sing, and that's how they acquire vocabulary. That's how they get so engaged in the language.
Research has proven the immersion experience enhances English language development, problem solving, and creativity. Everything students learn is transferable across languages.
Me llamo la Ola de Lago porque difficult when they learn at a younger age. I mean, their brain captures love languages, even 3 or 4, and just develop them.
Parents are encouraged to be enthusiastic and supportive, just as they would if their child was in an English-speaking classroom.
Immersion education is very important in any country because it helps the students to have a very open mind.
Personal experience has been that our daughter now going into 3rd grade is far above even how she can read in English compared to her older siblings.
I think a lot of the benefits have yet to be seen because we're looking to the future. I think about employment opportunities.
As we're teaching the kids the Spanish language, they're picking up those nuances and picking up those mannerisms as well as the language itself.
Students learn from repetition, music, visual instruction, active participation, and from each other.
So just a little history. We are in our 8th year of Little Delago. We started with just kindergarten 8 years ago, and we got a grade every year. And now our first initial cohort is actually middle school. They do have a middle school track right there. But we're going to talk about kindergarten today. So, like the video shared, we follow the same academic standards. We use the same curriculum that other schools do. Just do it in Spanish. In kindergarten, our instruction is completely taught in Spanish. So that sounds a little scary for a lot of parents that say, well, how do kids know what they're saying? Our teachers are trained experts at that. So a lot of visual cues, a lot of reading body language, a lot of drawing things out, kind of working with it. And as I was mentioning in the thing, that helps kids really pick up on nonverbals. It helps them pick up on kind of emotive body language and looking at things, but also it allows them to have to think critically about what's my job here, what am I supposed to do, how do I follow along with that. But again, we follow the same academic standards as well as the PBIS system. At Lola Block, we use the acronym, PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention System, which is our social emotional curriculum that we use across our schools, kind of our behavior expectations. And at Lola, we have called the waves, and that is worker, accountable, value everyone, and safe. And the other schools have a little bit different acronym, but basically the same things of how we teach kids how to be global citizens and good people. We also include the ESEM activities, just like every other school. So why choose immersion education? I have a lot of questions that have come my way over the years of like, why might this be a good option for my child? Or why not? Where are some of the benefits of it? Immersion education has been around for decades. We're not the only immersion school. There's probably 15 or so in the metro area. Some are Spanish, some are Chinese, some are French. So again, this has been around with lots of research, lots of decades that have proven. But it really does help students kind of get that extra little cognitive load. Instead of when they're having to learn something in a second language, it really forces them to think differently, but also to kind of challenge them. It demonstrates flexibility in thinking and sensitivity of verbal and non-verbal cues. Allows people to communicate with people that are around the world. So the fact that you speak another language opens so many more doors for travel, for knowing people in the community. We always have lots of fun stories of families that are speaking with Spanish-speaking people in the community, or things like that too. So it really opens up that kind of the global experience when you know more than that. Also, one of our unique things that we have at Lola del Lago is our Amity International Intern Program, and this is sponsored through our GTC. And what it is our parents sponsor about 4 or 5 Amity intern assistants, and they arrive from Spanish-speaking countries. They live with host families, so they're kind of getting that exchange experience, but they also work within school. So very neat opportunity for students to know interns in other countries. We currently have 4, 1 from Spain, 2 from El Salvador, and 1 from Colombia. I said that backwards. 1 from El Salvador, 2 from Colombia. We also have increased job opportunities in the market. Obviously, as you know, our world is global. thinking of all the opportunities to communicate, network, and of course, experience and travel are some of the benefits of bilingual. And with that, I will be here for questions if you have. I should also say that if you're more interested or if you're online, we will be having a parent panel next Tuesday, December 7th at Lola Gladys 7 o'clock. That will be in person. We won't be streaming it, but there is a spot on our district website for questions that you might have. And that's just a chance to come in and talk. We'll actually have a parent panel of about 5 parents and a few of our teachers that are there to just, if you have more specific questions or if you want to hear what it is like to be a parent of a current Spanish immersion student, we got an opportunity to talk. Thank you.
All right, well, it's my great pleasure to speak about ESTEM. We are known for our environmental educational programs in Carlisle Sanitary Schools. We have been designated a Green Ribbon Sustainability District by the United States Department of Education. And we have a really rich tradition around ESTEM education. This is my second year here, but I have learned that Carlisle Sanitary Schools were the first district where all of the elementary schools were ESTEM. We're the first district in the state of Minnesota. ESTEM stands for Environmental Education, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And it is an interdisciplinary approach that focuses heavily on inquiry and real-world problem solving. All of our students in grades K through 5 get to participate in ESTEM projects and field experiences that relate to the environment. And we are really, really proud at every elementary school to say that we have great outdoor learning spaces. And we also host an all-day EE Day or Environmental Education Day every year at each site. Patrick? Technology. Patrick has read it, but in alignment with our district mission, which is to educate and prepare our learners to reach their full potential in an ever-changing global community, we believe that 21st century skills is an essential outcome for any child's education. We know and we use technology to create skillful collaborators, communicators, creators, and critical thinkers. And we, in private secondary schools, lean heavily on our tech department to make sure right now that all of our students have iPads in grades K and 1. And in grades 2 through 5, they are using Chromebooks in a one-to-one situation. Next year, your students will have access to iPads in their classrooms. In addition to that, not quite ready yet, Patrick, but in addition to using technology in their classrooms, students also attend media class where they learn fundamental computer concepts and skills. In fact, we start teaching our kindergartners to code with games and activities through which they follow a series of commands to solve a problem. Coding, for those of you that may not know, is a literacy in the digital age, and we lean on it to help children with creativity, math, and writing, and also to improve their collaborative and their problem-solving skills. And Jennifer spoke a little bit about responsive classroom. We know and we believe that there's a set of social and emotional skills that are as important to school success as academic skills. Our students learn and practice the principles of responsive classroom in order to learn the essential CARES skills. CARES stands for cooperation, assertion, responsibility, empathy, and self-control. And the way that our teachers teach our students those skills is through a set of responsive classroom strategies. Morning meeting has been mentioned. We also use classroom rules and logical consequences. The way our teachers set up and organize their classroom is very intentional. We use guided discovery and interactive modeling, and we really form form strong partnerships with our parents and our guardians. All of our kindergarten to fifth grade teachers use this responsive classroom framework and approach in their classrooms. I think that's it. So far.
All elementary schools have a PTC, which means parent, teacher, child. Typically, it consists of mostly women or moms, but that doesn't need to happen. I know we've had some dads join us as well, which we often love to have their voices in the room as well. And then we also have the dogs, which is dads of great students. And the dads typically are the ones who are building things or cleaning out buckthorn out back in our learning areas, doing those kinds of hands-on activities for our school. They also do a lot of different fun things. We have different school events that they put on, and also they do different fundraising opportunities. So we would love to have as many of you join those groups. We love having new members. So next year, when your littles come in, please look into that, and we'd love to have more participation. We also have other volunteer opportunities, and obviously prior to COVID, we had many more. So typically what it looks like in the elementary is we have field trips, and we have postponed them now for a little over a year, but parents can volunteer to go on field trips. They also are asked to come in when teachers need assistance in the classroom for cutting, for helping sort projects, doing different things like that as well. And we're hopeful that next fall, we're going to get back to that. One of the things that we do ask, though, is that if you are volunteering to do a field trip, for an example, we do ask parents to have a background check. It is $21, I believe, is the cost. And if it's a hardship for a parent to do that through the district, just see one of us and we'll help take care of that cost. Typically, when we do ask for the background check, it's when a parent may be with students on a field trip where they may have to go somewhere alone with that group without a teacher right there with them. Some of the volunteer opportunities, you can come into school without a background check, especially if you're right in the classroom doing different things. The background checks last 1 full year. It isn't a calendar year, so it is the date that you have your background check to the next year at that same date. So it isn't every September. It's whenever you find out about, you might not find out about a field trip until, November, and you apply for it, then it would come back the following November. Kids Company. We love our Kids Company programs. We have them in all of our buildings. It runs from Monday through Friday from 6:30 in the morning until the start of the school day. Then we go on to the afternoon, and at dismissal time, kids also can go to Kids Company, and that runs until 6 o'clock in the evening. And I have to say our Kids Company programs are fabulous. It's a wide variety of things that they do with the kids. They go out on the playground. In the winter, I know many of ours go outside and they go sledding. They can do work. There's a lot of play and games and technology use. It's just a really, really awesome program, and the kids love to go before and after school. So that will be an opportunity, and you'll learn more about that in January when we have our next event.
Barb and Caroline, I have a question on mine related to Kids Company. I'm going to ask it right now. Do you have to sign up for Kids Company ASAP, or can you decide later? Do spots fill up quickly? And yeah, I would believe if you know you want your child to be in that way, don't wait. It does fill up. It fills up at different times at different schools, depending on registration, so it's hard to predict that. I would say if you're committed to having your children in Kids Company, you know that's the plan for your family. Get signed up, get that ready to go to start the school year, and it'll make your life a lot easier.
And also on that note, I know it's not open yet until March. So you can be thinking about that and looking at your plan for next year. That will open in March. And then they do send something out to be able to say, okay, here's that class deadline, so let us know specifically that you'd like to be part of the fall Kids Company program. So
those pieces, like Patrick also said, will be on our website. Any questions you can certainly I think we already moved us to the next one. You can just see a list of our school start times. This also is available on our website. But as you can see, we have most of our schools that start in that late start, so that 9:20 to 3:50, with with two schools, 5 Hawks and Red Tail Ridge being in 8:30 to 3. And that really is just our system to be able to make sure in the district we get all of our students to school. You can also see just a definition of things that I'll explain. A resident family, I think I have the next slide, Patrick, is just the map. So you're able to see. If you notice that, we heard from Richie, we have those boundaries listed, but since Little Lago is at Greenwood, it is a district-wide program. So therefore, it's not listed as a boundary school because our buses do bring students from all over the district to be able to come to Greenwood to attend Little Lago if that would be your choice. And then I will also define just some things maybe you have heard about in-district transfers. And so looking specifically, the next slide is about in-district transfers. And those requests really are reserved for siblings of students who might be part of some of our programs that are only offered at specific schools. So if you are a sibling of a student who is attending SAGE, or a sibling of a student who is attending a special education center-based program, if you would like to keep your family together, we would do that in-district transfer. It is a form that you would need to fill out. You just talk with one of us to be able to fill that piece out so that you would be able to have your entire family together at that same site. And then another piece just to think about was our non-resident or an open enrollment. So Prior Lake Savage Area Schools welcomes non-resident students as like through the Minnesota Department of Education open enrollment program. And that would mean in Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, open enrollment only applies if you don't live within that previous map. So if you live outside of those boundaries, then you would be able to apply for open enrollment within our district. And that, again, I know it's underlined up there as well, is only applicable if you don't live within that boundary. Also under open enrollment, families are requesting to enroll in our district. Super excited to be able to welcome families to be a Laker. And that, on that form, we do ask those families to identify a few schools. We are able to guarantee that those would be those schools, but we'd like to know what your thoughts are for that. What we really do, as you can see up there, is reassign that school. That's based on the building capacity as well as our balancing of buildings to make sure that we don't overload one building or another. And then the last is just our timeline for that. If open enrollment is your situation, we have a timeline that's open right now. The form can be found online. And also, you can see we look to make those placements in May. We would just ask if that is something that you're considering or questions, please let us know. And also, if you can fill out that information as soon as possible, that just really helps us. As we talk about enrollment, we're going to ask that same thing when enrollment opens because it's so nice for us to be able to help plan and put everything in place to make sure we're all ready for all of our kindergartens coming next year. I'm going to pass it on to Karen.
I'm going to cover some of the logistical, additional logistics here for you. First of all, as you can see, our enrollment opens on January 13th. So we would love to see those registrations coming in. And while we know it's not a guarantee, we also would love to see them in those last weeks of January. Because of course that helps us prepare in the spring for staffing and knowing how many kiddos we get to have in September. Some resident families were interested in Little Lago. I know Mr. Kuczynski's already said this, but we are having this panel on December 7th, and that is listed up there as well. If more than 92 residents enroll in Little Lago, they do hold a lottery. So that's how that works out, and of course you can see the date up there listed for you. So as far as registering, Please have your immunization record ready to go and those other pieces that you need to upload. I will tell you, you can start the process and come back to it. You can save it, just get it started, and then if you see you still need something additional, then you can go ahead and get that. If you do not have access to a computer, please know that you can come to our district service center. We have access to a computer there, and you can get in. Someone will get you there at the front desk and help you gain access to the registration there. So sometimes we have children, of course, that are born between September 2nd and October 15th. And they're 25 during that window. And parents and sometimes preschool educators notice that those kiddos they're really ready for school. So we have something that's called early entrance. And if you have a child, you know a family with a child, they wonder that maybe they could gain early entrance. What we do is you look at the boundary you reside in, and then contact that school. And one of the principals will contact you back and we will walk you through that process. It doesn't happen very often, but there are some students out there that really need to have an early entrance. Okay, the state of Minnesota requires a preschool screener, and it's free. And you can see up there on the screen the phone number. And you can set that appointment up. It takes about 1 hour, and you go with your child. The screener is simply that. It looks at all those items that are listed by the bullets. It doesn't mean they can't go to school. They're all going to come to school. It's just a way for us to screen our children and see if they have some needs that we will need to know about as they move ahead into kindergarten. Also, in the first 2 weeks of August, every one of our schools has a window of days in which we have you make appointments to come in for about 1 hour. You bring your child in. It's called Great Start to Kindergarten. We welcome you in. We have your child meet with one of the teachers, and they do some visiting with them. They talk to you. They do some assessing. Very easygoing and fun activities with them. And then we also do some tours of our building, or scavenger hunts is what many of us did last summer. It's a lot of fun to meet our families and our children. And so that information will come out to you later in the school year.
All right, that kind of ends our presentation part. We're gonna entertain some questions and do our best to try to answer questions. We have a few people that parents at home that have asked them online. We're going to do them live here at the same time, so I'm going to need your help up here to do all of that. I'm going to start this out. I think this is a good question, and we didn't really talk about it. What method will teachers use to communicate with parents? And how often will they have updates about their child's day? Does somebody want to answer that?
What a great question. I'll just take that. So we use a couple of avenues for communicating with our families. One of them is, of course, email. But more importantly is a platform we call Seesaw. And you will have access to that platform. We give you directions on how to access that. Teachers upload activities. And I know that I believe I can speak for all of us in that our teachers give weekly updates or a peek of the week for the following week for our parents. So you know what's going on in our classrooms and you know how you can prepare your child for the next week.
I think a conjoining question here that came from a family at home is, are they required to have a Facebook account in order to keep up with what's going on in their child's classroom and school? And I'm going to say the answer is no. Of course, we do use all sorts of social media to kind of help communicate and promote what's going on in the classroom. I know Jeff is fine, we have a Facebook page, and we share what's happening kind of building-wide through that particular social media piece. So it's not required, but we don't families use it. So that's kind of the question piece right there. We heard the comment at home. It's kind of hard for the parents at home to hear us. We're really sorry about that. We'll do the best job we can to be able to be articulate as we move forward. We want to open it up to the audience. Who's got questions in the audience that we can help you with today? All right. size for kindergarten?
That varies. A lot of it really depends on the amount of students in that attendance boundary area. And I have to say that our superintendent and our school board do a really good job in helping us make sure that those numbers don't get too high. I know this year a couple of our schools, they did get a little high, they got to about 25. But we also were able to get a kindergarten support para to help the teachers with some of those things that would benefit the students. You know, some of it is just getting them ready now in the winter, getting their boots on and helping them with all those pieces. But also, I'm seeing ours helping them with different learning activities too, taking small groups and different things like that. So it really varies. We would love to see, you know, about 17 in a class, which some buildings do have, but it really depends on the boundary area and how soon we know as well how many kids are coming, because, you know, all of a sudden it can happen where it's a week before school starts and we get 4 more kids in, and that puts us up to 25. So that's why we really say, you know, they're coming, we'd love to know as soon as possible.
We take all children that walk through our front door at every moment of every school day.
All through the year.
Do they have an estimate of how big the class of 2035?
Ooh, is there an estimate of how many students in the class of 2035? I have not heard that. Christy Musman, would you be able to make a really good estimate on that? Hate to.
While Christy is coming up here, there are certain things that have been presented to the school board that you may be able to find. We can also get in touch with you and let you know. But a lot of times there are projections of how big we are thinking that it's going to be. So off the top of our head, I don't recall how big they were thinking, but they typically do that for budget setting purposes.
I do want to share that freshman class is the largest class right now, and it's over at 800. I have a freshman in high school right now. He just kind of walks around. We're the biggest. I'm not necessarily saying that's the best, but that's the number that I know right now. Do we have an estimate on?
I'm taking a guess with it, but I think the current kindergarten class size, or you mean the one that anticipating coming in? Anticipating coming in, I think we are around 600, I guess.
So in our school district, we tend to add to those numbers as they go. We have a school district that children move in late elementary, middle school, high school, and those numbers tend to grow. That is a trend we see every year. Yes, right here.
So, Martha turned 5 already, or, you know, at the end of September, so I decided to wait because of the pandemic. How do you guys handle the social distancing and really wearing their masks already?
How do we handle social distancing and mask wearing in kindergarten?
Well, you know, we are on our masks, we do require masks right now in our buildings. And I will say the kindergartners are phenomenal at wearing their masks. Yes, and we also have, because they are kindergartners as well, and we are working with elementary students, we always have extra masks in our office for them as well. And we really work hard at social distancing to the best of our ability. When you walk into a kindergarten classroom, you often will see little circles all around, and the kids know that that's where they sit on their circle. And then when they're at their tables, we keep it about 4 to a table. We've got 2 on an end and 2 on the side. We're very cautious about that right now. We've got a really good plan in place in which we are washing down our tables constantly. We are encouraging washing hands. Really, the only times our kids are not wearing masks is when they're eating their lunches. And then as soon as they get done eating their lunches, they're putting their masks back on. Oh, no, they sit at, we all have different types of tables. Some of us have round tables that have like 4, 5, 6 on them. I have, at Monday, we have the bigger rectangular tables, and we have 8 to a table. So they're in big groups together, but yet they're still, we try to maintain that 3 feet social distance to the best of our ability.
It's rather normal right now for lunch. rather normal?
It actually gets a little bit louder in the cafeteria sometimes because they are a little bit further apart from each other, so we have to talk a little louder.
Also, do they get nap time? Because if you were to start a full day of kindergarten and then do the, kids, either before school or after school, is there nap time?
The question is, do the children in kindergarten get nap?
Yeah, full day.
They do not get a nap time in kindergarten. They do have some time where they have some quiet time when they come back, usually from the lunch recess time, but we do not have a formal nap time.
Sometimes you have children during that time that do take naps. You'll have a few students that will pop out for a little bit. I've seen that happen.
Especially the first few weeks of school.
Yeah. Snack time, absolutely. Every classroom at the elementary usually has a snack time built into their day.
They also, our kindergarten program also gets free breakfast in the morning as well. That's for all of our kindergarten students. They all get a free breakfast in the morning if they choose one.
The question here was, is the snack provided? The snack is not provided, but the breakfast is. We do have some schools that have programs where you can purchase a snack at school. Some of us don't have that program. Parents are always able to send their children to school with a snack. And we promote a healthy snack in that with the children. They all get angry, don't we?
And I'm just going to add to that as well, because I think all of our schools are a little different depending on what the start time is. So some schools, they may come in and have breakfast, obviously right away in the morning, and then they may not have lunch until noon, 12:30. So by the time at an early start school, we're getting on the bus and getting ready to go by 10 to 3. So they might not need a snack, but I think the most important thing for everyone here to remember is please communicate with your child's teacher. Your teachers are going to want to know, and if your child is hungry throughout the day and you want to send a snack, they are very good about acknowledging that and saying, sure. I walk into many classrooms and kids have food on their table while they're, doing work many different times throughout the day. So they're very good, but communication with the classroom teacher is key.
We have a question right here. Questions about Kids Code? So let's talk about it. They open throughout the summer and on holidays. They are open in the summertime.
Patrick, that's my fault.
Why?
That was my slide, and I omitted that. I'm sorry. Yes. There is kids company in the summer, and it's amazing, and it's so fun for them. They go on different field trips and whatnot. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back to that. And then there are certain days where there may be a day off of school, and they still will run kids company. So they have a calendar, and it's on the calendar which days that perhaps there's no school that they will still have run kids company those days.
You had a second question though, and that one is? They don't start their child in kindergarten, Kids Go. Will there still be a spot if they start first or second or later?
Absolutely. It goes on a year-by-year basis. So even if you decided you wanted to not have them go in kindergarten and you want them to be in first grade, they open that enrollment again to register for Kids Company for every single year. And they really take that part, like I said, it'll open in March, and then they say, okay, let us know for sure that you want to join us in the fall so that they can put their staffing together and do that. So that's when you get that reminder of, this is the last time we're going to kind of close that piece to make sure we have all of our staff in place. They do that every single year and just adjust that staffing based on how many students are going to actually enroll.
We have a question right here. Is the Pledge of Allegiance part of our standard school day study? I would say yes.
Yes.
In the majority of our classrooms, it may not happen every single day depending on what's happened, but it happens on the majority We have a question right here. So the question is, what are kids' company hours? And they are 6:30 a.m. in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And then when can you pick up? You can pick up whenever you need to in that time frame. You can pick up early, you can drop off really early, you can pick up really late one day, you can do a different schedule another day if you want to. It's up to you as the family.
I want to go back to the Pledge of Allegiance question. We do have some families that, for cultural or religious reasons or whatever that may be, choose to sit out of the Pledge of Allegiance. So the idea would be talk to your teacher and alert them to what your family preference is.
Question. Is there any cap on open enrollments? Kindergartners? Not anymore. Used to be. We did have some limitations, but we do not right now. The district does not have a cap on open enrollment in kindergarten.
And that's where we really access any school. So we look at our schools and we balance it. So even if you live closer to, say, Red Tail Ridge, but there's an opening at Westwood, as an open enrolled family, we would make a space for you at Westwood, perhaps not at Red Tail Ridge. Cap on the class size?
Is there a cap on class size for students? Not necessarily. They would be spaced out depending upon where we have space. So we would look at that. And it's constant. It is a constant enrollment placement. It ebbs and flows for us daily, all through the spring, all throughout the summertime, into the fall. It's one of those that kind of goes. Sometimes there's a place at Glendale because they have low class size. The next time it's at Jefferson Pond, and then it's over at Hamilton Ridge. It really depends. It just flows. How many students are open enrolled this year? I don't know that answer.
Another note on the open enrollment process for Low and Lago. As was mentioned, we do have an enrollment cap of 92. Many times over the last several years, we have had more interest than that. And if that is, whether it's resident families or open enrolled, they are given an assignment to, if it's not space, they do a lottery of open enrolled families, so that should a space become available, that they would be able to offer that position. I've had many families that have been placed at another school, like they accepted a position at Hamilton Ridge or Red Tail Ridge, and they are still interested in enrolling in the level, and as a space becomes available, if someone moves or decides not to come, they do call. We've actually had a couple that have been on the waiting list that have started a couple months into the school year. So just to know, like Patrick said, we have so much movement with registration. A lot of families apply to kindergarten. They might have a young 5-year-old that they think they might be interested, or they might decide to do something different as the school year approaches. So that's kind of an ongoing process.
We do have a question about district transfer. I want to make sure. So can you apply on personal preference for in-district transfer wherever you'd like your child to go, or is it limited? Somebody talked about that.
Yes, so in-district transfers are provided for families who have siblings of the child, kindergarten, for example, in our case, then in special programming. So, for example, our STAGE, our Gifted and Talented Academy, would be one of those situations, or special programming. And we have special programming in each of our schools, notably our special education programs. And so if your child is a sibling of a child who's in one of those programs, then you could submit an in-district transfer. And I'll tell you what, right now, we want to put families together. So we're going to grant that. We don't hesitate on that. We do not provide in-district transfers for, say, if you live in the Jefferson Pond area and you really want to go to Hamilton
language. I'd love to have you, I really would. However, we are sticking with our boundaries, and we have a really well-balanced district, and the people who put together those boundaries did a really good job of keeping our schools really nicely balanced and filled. They're filled, and yet we have room to grow.
Other question? Can an adult sibling be the chaperone for a younger sibling on a field trip?
I guess we've never had asked that question, but it's typically just the parent who will come on a field trip with that, with the class on that field trip. We have had, though, where a parent may meet the class there, and a sibling, I guess, you know, but it wouldn't be a part of that school field trip.
Good question.
So, pre-COVID, yes. And so, if we go back to that next fall, your child will need to learn their PIN, and we understand it's going to take a while. The teachers do a great job. They have little cards that have the pretend PIN on it, and they practice their numbers. And they typically have it on their little name tag when they come in, or they have a little, so we help them through the whole process, and it's really neat to see them. And the first month or two of school, it's absolute chaos, and the lines are going forever. But after about the first month of school, they just get it down, and it's neat to see their independence.
I can speak to that. So yes, last school year, we were in a different model of hybrid, start the year off, where we had half of our kids attended Monday and Thursday, and then the other group was Tuesday and Friday. So that was one part. Kids at home, and then last year about this time, we were full distance learning. And amazingly, the kids quickly adapted. I can speak, I have a young kid child myself that did distance learning last year and did just fine. Teachers really maximize. It's not just like the teacher talking all day long. It's really short, mini lessons, just like a large group. But then teachers really have a structured schedule time of like, here's what to check in. As an example, I actually ran my own online Spanish immersion kindergarten class all year last year. We had enough interest to do that. So it was very successful, and it was unbelievable to see the connection that those kids, those families made over the year. It's really, really doable. I know it sounds scary, but our teachers have adapted, our district has adapted, and families kind of find that groove too. So.
And then what's the amount we have positive cases that we go back to?
So that varies, and we have what we call an incident command team that meets once a week to discuss that. We work with Scott County Public Health as well, and we monitor the numbers of cases and discuss that every week. Our school board has also set kind of a graphic of what we currently are looking at for those numbers, and that kind of guides us with that. But again, we're constantly monitoring, and then we're taking action if need be. Our biggest strength is the mitigation strategies that we do use, and that we have a great group of people around, community members, staff, and district administration that get together to look at that every single week and revisit where we currently are at. Our main goal is to keep everybody safe and to keep everybody healthy.
Go for it. that's a really great question. So if things were to ever go distance learning next school year and are in a hybrid formation, what options are there for my children if I have to be at work? If I would have, based on last year, probably the only thing we might be able to speak to, and there were, families did qualify for childcare at school that were tier 1 workers or different tiers of working. And so that was in place last year, healthcare being one of the qualifications. We did have children on site whose parents were healthcare workers, and they were able to be at school in a daycare type support education online learning system. So that I can only speak to that as that might be the case in the future. I don't know. Stay tuned. Hopefully we don't do that. Anybody want to add anything to that?
Well, last year we were under the governor's orders, and that this year we are not, and so that looks very different. I really think sometimes it's a day-to-day basis, but a year-to-year basis as well, to see where the variants are at, and what our COVID numbers are at, and what our state of Minnesota is going to look like as well. So it's really hard to speak to that right now. As you know, 2 years have been completely different for us so far. I can tell you right now that percentage-wise, we are below 1%. Thank you for everybody coming tonight. If you have any further questions, we as principals will stay up here and feel free to come up here and ask us any other questions that you have. We really appreciate that you took time to come tonight. For those of you online, thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.